welcome back to a From the Trenches episode. This is where James and I get together and bring you behind the curtain at Plan First Wealth and give you our updates and takes on what's going on in the world. So, hi James.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while.
It has been a while, so I'm sure everyone noticed, or not, that we missed a month, and that's because I've been laid up with a dodgy Achilles. Ruptured my Achilles playing pickleball of all things. But I'm back. I'm back, baby.
You won the game at least, right?
Well, no, but I was winning.
In glorious fashion.
I was winning. I was new to the sport. That's part of the problem. I was hanging out at the back of the court like a tennis player, and you need to be at the front of the net. And someone drop-shotted me, and I took off as a teenager would. And my 40-year-old body said, nah, no, mate. My Achilles snapped. I went down. Because I've done this before, I did my left Achilles playing squash 10 years ago. I knew immediately what I'd done. I knew right away. And I knew my racket sport career has come to an end because my wife shepherded me through the first one, which is a long recovery. And she shouldered a lot of the burden there. Only that time, we lived in an apartment, so I had no stairs. And we had no kids and no dogs. And it was my left foot, so I could still drive. So now I've done my right foot. I have a house with stairs. I have 2 children under the age of 5, and I have a dog. So it has been a dramatically different experience for me and for her. So everyone say a little prayer.
None of these things help.
No. But I'm doing good.
In any way.
I'm doing good. Have I shown you? Let me show you. I've got a boot on. Let me show you. Hold on. I know this is we're an audio podcast, so for all our audio listeners, I apologise. James will describe it in great detail. But I've got this on.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Wow, that's state of the art.
No, it's not actually. The state of the art would be a Vacoped. This is a American style, just a enormous, cumbersome boot. But I was in Castle recently, but now I'm in this thing for the next few weeks.
And the boot. Here's a dumb question. You can't take that off.
Oh no, I can. Yeah, no, this is great. The cast I couldn't take off at all. But this thing, I take off now several times a day because I'm already exercising. I'm already doing heel lifts and using a TheraBand to start building strength. And I sleep in a splint, so I got to take it off. Honestly, that's one of the things. I'm a Brit. Hopefully that comes as a surprise to no one. So I grew up with the NHS, and I'm a believer in free at the point of care, healthcare, but I've had this left Achilles go in the UK. I've had my right Achilles go in the US, and the care I've received, the way I've been treated, the progress I've made to date has been incomparable. And I'm really conflicted. And I know the NHS is a mess right now, but I'll tell you my experience, both the way I've been made to feel and my actual care and attention and progress, night and day.
Hopefully this is the last comparison you'll have, right? You're not going to be somewhere else for the third.
Well, yeah, you mean in terms of moving around. The problem is...
Yeah. You don't want to be in France for your third Achilles tear.
Well, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Although I do feel that, I've had this last month, I've had to really confront my age. So I've turned 40 this year. Then in the last month, I've noticed my grey hair, beard and hair getting much more noticeable. And then my Achilles goes. And then playing pickleball, which I was playing pickleball, so this wouldn't happen. I wasn't playing squash because I knew what would happen, but that's why I was playing. But anyway, don't get me started on that. And then I noticed the other night, this is like literally 2 nights ago, that my hairline is starting to recede. So I'm really being confronted with... That's why I've got my hair down now. I normally have my hair back because it just looks a bit more professional, but I've got my hair down because... So I said to my wife, is my hairline receding here? She's like, oh yeah, I'd noticed that. I was like, well, why didn't you say anything? So it turns out, I don't know if you've ever heard of this. You ever heard of something called traction alopecia?
Is it from pulling your hair back? I have heard of that.
I hadn't, and I've been wearing my hair back for 2 years. I wish someone had told me. It might not be that, but I'm hopeful it is that. So now I'm going to go through a period of wearing my hair down to try and regrow this before. So for anyone who doesn't know, if anyone cares, traction alopecia is where you wear your hair back, and if you wear your hair back tightly, You can start to damage the hair follicles, and you lose hair from the front. Black women really suffer from this because they wear their hair and it's something. I mean, it must be horrible.
I can join you on the gray train. I thought I was going to get like the cool touch of gray on the, like the sideburns. That's what I was working
Distinguished.
towards. I'm going to have the Jay Leno skunk tail right in the center.
That's where mine are coming, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
So I am confronting my aging, and I'm trying to.
None of us are getting any younger.
Well, my wife has a great way of looking at it. You got to be grateful. The alternative is you're not here.
A lot worse.
And then we preach this, right? We preach life is not a dress rehearsal. You only get one shot at this. Make the most of it. And it's these milestone. But you turned 30 not so long ago. These milestone birthdays, they just even though it's totally arbitrary, they force you to like consider the next decade.
Makes you reflect.
Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of that.
32 coming up here in a couple of months. So
yeah. So I'm back. We missed a month. I've been busy. Well, no, let me put it. I've not been busy. My wife's been busy. Poor thing. So say a prayer for her.
Everyone's holding up well.
Yeah,
right?
we're doing fine. We're doing great.
Good.
So, what did we miss? A UK election.
Big news. Yep.
Hot off the press.
Mm-hmm.
So a change of government for the first time in I think 2008, 2009, maybe 2010 when the Tories got in.
Wow.
Yeah, that government had really calcified, and it was really quite horrible what's happened since Brexit. Really was. I mean, our remedy to the global financial crisis was austerity, and that hit a lot of people really hard. But things seem to be going okay, and then Brexit kind of got in the way of all that, and it's just been a horrible mess since then.
Yeah.
So I welcome a change in government.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't agree with everything Labour stand for. Agree with a lot of it. I tell you one thing I'm greatly encouraged by, and that is Keir Starmer. He is not the most charismatic of men, but I do believe fundamentally, deep down, he is a good man, and he is a highly intelligent and competent man. And do you know what? Massive win.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for that.
The charisma always wins out in everything, right? In politics and everything normally, and that can mask so many deficiencies, not even deficiencies, like negatives. And I think in Keir Starmer, Britain now has a good, honest, well-meaning, intelligent, capable leader. Who knows how that will play out? Maybe you need to be more Machiavellian or self-interested at that level. I don't know, but I'm excited for the UK to give this one a shot.
Yep. Change is, I think, at this point welcomed. You could see by the landslide, right? I mean, it was pretty definitive.
Yeah.
It's always fascinating as a sort of third party to watch from afar because the system is different. But
yeah, interestingly though, so they got this landslide in seats, but I think they only captured something like 30% of the vote.
Okay.
I think a lot of people didn't vote in protest or because we have our political system in the UK.
Fairly low turnout, right?
Well, yes, but also our political system in the UK is something called first past the post. So every seat is its own race, and you just have to win a majority in that place to, not even a majority, you just have to get the most votes to win your seat. So they didn't win a land. They don't have a mandate in that respect. Like an overwhelming majority of the country hasn't voted for them, but they do have an overwhelming majority in Parliament, which is kind of good because it means. Part of the problem with the other European systems is they're all coalitions, and they break apart easily, and nothing can get done. So you end up in deadlock, and we don't really have that.
Yeah, we don't have any political gridlock in the States. No. We've solved that problem completely.
Yeah. Well, we have what is happening here is what a nightmare. What an awful situation we have right now. Like the two choices. How did it end up like this?
And what do we get asked all the time? I'll tell you this: the uncertainty does not help investors.
No.
Feel more comfortable, right? Because we get asked every day, "What should I be doing?"
It's the same every time, though.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it's contentious, and every time it seems more contentious than the last time.
Mm-hmm.
This time does feel worse, but the answer is always the same. And tune out, long run. Markets don't care whether it's Democrats or Republican in power. You look at the history, good governments, bad governments, Democrats, Republicans, pro-business, but the market does what the market does. These companies are still run by highly intelligent, profit-motivated individuals, and they'll keep doing their thing, keep making money.
Yep.
And don't just take our word for it. Look at history.
And volatility, people ask, right? That's you can expect volatility, right? I mean, and in a geopolitical torment, there's going to be some volatility, but the answer that you hear from us is going to be the same. Stick to your plan.
It's always that.
And if you don't have a plan, get one.
Yeah, it's always that. You want to act, you don't want to react. That's how you make money in the long-term investments. Or that's our belief anyway, and certainly evidence backs that up. But if you're reacting to events, whether it's political or economic or even investment, that's, we believe, how you lose money in the markets over the long term, or you don't make as much as you should. And that's evidenced by the how much money investors make in funds versus the funds themselves make over time, because investors go in and out of them. The famous Dalbar study. But reacting to stuff is not the way to do it. Well, and that applies to this as it applies to everything else. But I will say, as a person with a vested interest in living in this country, and the world should care, frankly, when it comes to America, this is a sorry state of affairs.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Anything going on in your world, James?
I don't mean to segue us, ham-handedly, but there are ways to systematize your investment so that you're not reacting to current market, what's happening in the market or in the headlines or in the news. We read an interesting article, I know, that we were going to bring up about systematic investing. This was tied to 401ks and getting people opted in automatically, such that they would have to choose to opt out, and the impact that has had on the bottom line, both for the investor investing more consistently, not reacting as much in market downturns, and also, quite frankly, just getting people to invest, right? Participate in the market. So this study, I believe it was in the Wall Street Journal. Am I correct in that? We read an article from Ben Carlson over at Compound and Friends that summarized it, but essentially just looking at the power in setting up a systematic investment plan such that whether it's your 401k, your IRA, brokerage accounts, for a lot of people in our audience, they're maximizing their tax advantaged accounts, and getting that money to work for you on a disciplined, systematic approach, as opposed to every 6 months saying, I have some extra money in my checking. Maybe I should look at the market and decide if it's a good time to invest.
There's several takeaways from this great piece, right? We'll put it in the show notes. And anyone who's not following his blog should do. He's brilliant. The first point is just the power, the impact on returns in the economy that the 401k has had to mainly the American stock market.
Mm-hmm.
The past, how old is the 401k? 30, 40 years?
Yeah, I think it was the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, every 2 weeks, there's billions, millions, billions, whatever, ultimately over time, trillions of dollars automatically flowing into the stock market every 2 weeks. And that has just, I don't think anyone, when you look at the last 100 years or whatever your time frame is of market activity in the US, you wonder, how has the US economy done this? And and that's a valid question. The US economy is a powerhouse. But until recently, because of these guys at the compound, I've never really factored in the idea that it's driven partly by just trillions on a bi-weekly basis flowing into the market and buying equities.
And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Politically, the move away from defined benefit, what people knew as pensions, almost completely in the US, right? They don't exist anymore, practically speaking. So you have this entire couple generations now of what we would term forced buyers, right? Essentially, you're on a path of investing and participating in the market. But like you said, the sort of upwind, the power behind that can force the stock market essentially to keep growing. It's I don't know if we even fully understand the impact that has and will continue to have.
And I think it's not over.
No.
As humans live longer, as defined benefit plans completely eradicated from the map. They still exist. Older people have still got them. And as governments realise they do need to do more to encourage people to take control of their savings and invest more. So the starting rate or the kind of the tools that they use to get people to opt into 401k. So the automatic opt in, you have to opt out rather than not having to opt in. Hopefully that makes sense. But and the starting rate, you start like 3%, but now it's automatically people are starting higher. So there's more money going in, and there's more people in the workforce, and I think this is a bullish story, and it will continue to be a bullish story for a long time.
And unless there's massive structural change, I don't think we're going to see the return of, the defined benefit pension plan that
no chance
was commonplace for generations.
No chance. I think retirement has to change. Mm-hmm. I think the concept of working to 65 and downing tools is unrealistic, to put it one way, in this modern era. So I think mentalities have to change. I think our relationship with work has to change, and our relationship with how we fund retirement and we do retirement has to change. But defined benefits aren't coming back, and investment in the stock market and retirement accounts are a critical piece of that.
Yep. It's a story about psychology too, right? Investor psychology, where if you know that your 401k every 2 weeks, rain or shine, is going to go in and get invested in the market, you're way less likely to react poorly. Now, people still do, right? There are people that panic and make a bad decision and say, oh, I'm going to cash and take everything out, whatever it may be. But just having that structure in place is so impactful. And this article, there's statistics that back that up. But if you're not on some kind of systematic plan, and for our clients, people we talk with in our world, quite frankly, it probably should be something beyond 401ks and IRAs. You probably should look at investing in a brokerage account or a taxable account. If you're not doing that, reconsider, I would say, as part of your financial plan.
I agree 100%. I think that's the next takeaway from this is, so if the first one is the power of just this mechanism that's buoyed and supported and helped the stock market grow, the second one is do more of this. Mm-hmm. And what we see, I think you were alluding to then, is we see people doing... Our clients and the people we meet generally have got great 401ks and IRAs, and they're pumping money in there, and that's great. But then they almost consider like, oh, job done. And maybe they maybe from an annual bonus, they'll drop some money in once or twice a year. But they should do that, and they should have a monthly, or whatever frequency you want to talk about, but a monthly systematic brokerage account deposit. I agree, because otherwise that money vanishes into the ether. Well, so when we build financial plans, for anyone who wants to look behind the curtain here, when we build financial plans, you can, if there's money left over at the end, you can either incorporate it back into the plan or you can have it vanish. We always have it vanish because, I promise you, it vanishes.
It does. Yep.
So
no doubt.
So capture some of that, and even if it's small to begin with, because it's then really easy to increase it over time.
Yep.
Once you realise that life goes on and you still have the same quality of life, and yet you're putting an extra 60, 70, 100 grand a year into your brokerage account. And then this is great then because you mix up the tax profile of your investments more. Because if you have purely retirement accounts, everything's taxable when you take it out. So, you can really, if you have like a lump sum needs, you can run into like cash flow difficulties with that.
Not to mention the tax optimization that comes with having multiple different tax vehicles, right? A traditional pre-tax account, Roth accounts, taxable brokerage accounts. Having that variety is a useful tool when setting out to retirement too, because you can really control, okay, where am I taking distributions from? How am I managing this from a tax perspective is powerful.
Anything else on that one?
The only thing I'll end with is, isn't it funny that all of the most successful tools for investors are ones that directly contradict and overcome basic human psychology? All of them. Everything that would come to mind for a human by instinct is the wrong way to invest.
What is it Nick Murray says? Human nature is a failed investor.
Yes. Yep.
All of us. And there's an enormous difference between the people who accept that and are okay with it, and a strange subset of people who just saying that to them makes them angry almost and defensive and aggressive.
Yep.
And as you were saying that earlier on about there are still people who will want to time the market, but people are people.
Yeah.
All these tools are evolving, but we are still that 50,000-year-old newly evolved mammal out on the plane. Our brain is going to take a lot longer to catch up to being a good investor. So in the meantime, let's rule on the tricks and the behavioral.
Yeah, use the tools available
Yes.
to you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had lots of time to sit on my phone and read, and we were trying. You and I talked about trying to pull out as we do a lot of reading and consuming content as part of our job, obviously, and we talked about exactly like this, right? Trying to pull out something that we found interesting, but we think other people might find interesting and useful.
Yep.
Something that caught my eye while I was off was a Wall Street Journal article. Now, we love the Wall Street Journal's investment commentary, people, in an economic commentary. It's great for that. Although, not so much this one. So this article was Investors Fear Long Stretch of Calm in Markets Can't Last. This article is such a nothing burger.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course it can. That's the nature of investing, particularly in the stock market. That's the quid pro quo.
Mm-hmm.
The whole this article is like 5 pages of, markets aren't normally this calm. Yeah, they're not. What a win. Take it for what it is. Like,
it's one of those things where, and part of this too, for context, and I'm sure everyone listening is aware of this, is that we're at all-time highs. And when we've had quite the bull run here for the last 6 odd months, people start getting nervous, right? Yeah. Is this going to continue? Oh, we're at all-time highs. First of all, we are at all-time highs very, very often. We have some statistics here. Since 1950, the U.S. equity market, so obviously we're using that as a shorthand. We always caveat that, but the U.S. equity market has hit 1,250 all-time highs along the path to its current level. For those of you who are doing the math, that's 16 times a year it's hitting a new all-time high on average. So this is not a rarity. Obviously, we know, you look at a stock market graph, S&P, it's up and to the right. Volatility, to your point, Richard, is part of the price you pay to capture that permanent return.
James, right? I will always remember 2016. I was in Chicago seeing a client, and I remember I was hanging out in the Starbucks just waiting for the meeting, and I had a newspaper, and in there it said that this week, the week I was there, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and the Dow Jones had all hit new time highs. I remember thinking to myself, "That's it. Yeah, okay. What an indicator that this is the top and that we need to bail out." Now, luckily, even back then, I wasn't quite as versed on this philosophy, but I still followed it.
Yeah,
and I knew not to do anything about it, but I called the top in my own head, at least. I was so wrong. 2016, it marched on. Yeah, we had a little bit of a wobble at 2018, which is inconsequential now because they put interest rates up. Mm-hmm. And all that's come since then, COVID, the nightmare that was 2022, and look at where we are. It's at least doubled since then, maybe more. I don't have the numbers because I've just pulled this from my brain, but I always fall back on that as going back to what you said about we're all fallible. Yeah, we live this and we're fallible, but I didn't act on it. That's a critical point.
And I'll go to your defense here. There was probably every reason in the world to think that maybe we'd have a correction. There always is. Always.
Bears sound smart. Bulls will make you money.
Yep.
So it's so easy to sprout off on, oh, we should be worried about this, and this is what about this, because there's so much to be negative about all the time. There's so much we could just talk about now. But the market doesn't care.
No.
You react to that at your peril.
Talking specifically about investments, right? Obviously, things change in the world and politics and everything. But as far as an investing mindset, people, I think, tend to look back on 2016 or any time in the past and say, oh, but we felt okay then, or the market felt calm, and I didn't really see anything. And that's never the case, ever.
Think about raising your kids, right? I'm in the thick of it right now, and it's mayhem. It's absolute mayhem. But you'll look back and you'll see the pictures and you'll just remember all the cute stuff. You won't remember the relentless.
In a way, it's good,
the
right?
relentlessness. Yes, it's a human thing.
It's adaptive.
It's a way of
Yeah.
it's a coping mechanism, and that's exactly the same.
Yep.
People are now looking back fondly on the George W. Bush partisan era, right, or the Clinton partisan era, Newt Gingrich and all that stuff.
Reagan.
No one. It was mayhem then. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the rose into spectacles. So you just have to zoom out. But this article, I was surprised at the Wall Street Journal really pandering. I mean, it felt like pandering to. I just don't know what I learned from this, other than markets aren't usually calm.
One thing that jumped out to me too, thinking this idea of all-time highs, right? Investing at all-time highs. The other stat I brought that I found pretty impactful is that average returns, not only did they match a normal investing period, right? So looking at a 12-month forward rolling return from an all-time high, 12.7% from a point of an all-time high versus 12.4 for not an all-time high. So not only is it not worse, it's actually better. Now, we're not going to play the game of, okay, you should only be investing during a bull run, but it goes to show that to try to predict what's going to happen solely on the basis of, okay, the S&P has just hit an all-time high is a fool.
Well, it's when you zoom out and think about it, it's a power of momentum, right? If we're hitting new time highs.
Yep.
Presumably it's because things are going really well, and yes, eventually the party stops, right? But the party can go on for a good long time first, and the critical thing is when the party stops. Thus far in human history, it has always been temporary. We have never ever not recovered, and if you can embrace this, you can make a lot of money in the stock market.
Absolutely.
Let's just wrap up here with what's going on currently. So we got some good news this week. I think good news. Inflation is down to 3%. Can you believe?
Yep.
Can you believe after the last 18 months, 2 years, we're nearly hitting a 2 print, a number with a 2 at the front, which is felt like when we were at 9. I know we're all fatigued, by the way. We buy groceries just like the rest of you. My whole foods bill, I look at it each week in shock and horror.
Brutal, yeah.
And it's important to note here, the rate of inflation is going down. Prices aren't going to go down. They're stuck.
That's a big thing that people can misconceive or not quite understand is when we say the technical fun jargon is disinflation, right? It just means that the rate of inflation is slowing, but prices are not going to roll back. It's very rare.
No.
And in fact, you can talk about the economics of it. Deflation is really lethal to an economy. But these kind of prints are what the Fed wants to see to now look ahead to rate cuts potentially in September and December. Seem to be the consensus right now. That will change.
So inflation has come down to 3%. Great. Wow.
Yep.
Unemployment is ticking up. That is something to keep your eye on. Unemployment ticking up.
Yep. 4.1%. That's the highest it's been since late 2021. So it's absolutely the pattern is that it's increasing.
No predictions, but it's hard, he says, making a prediction. It's hard to see interest rates not going down this year. Now, I don't think we're going to go down to 0 again, but if you've got used to your 5%, I think that's the end is nigh. For 5%.
Yep. The Fed has 2 mandates. Everyone listening may know. Number 1, inflation, purchasing power. Number 2, employment. I would expect to see a shift towards that second mandate, namely rate cuts in the last half of the year here. And now it's going to be a game of if we do slide into recession, which we very well could.
Yeah.
How severe? How long will it last? Will rate cuts help?
It's been a remarkable run.
Absolutely.
To emerge, 2022 was horrible from an investment perspective, but to emerge from that without a recession thus far has been incredible. So let's take the win. I'm hopeful, dare I say confident, that we can emerge from this, but without a recession. But they're landing the plane now. So the most dangerous parts of flying, right, are taking off and landing. And I think now that they're really at the landing part, and you just watch this space. Don't take any action. Systemize your investments. Invest more. But it feels it's been remarkable we've got to this point.
To your point there, Richard, not reacting. Think about if you had reacted in October of 23. You'd miss a run up that again, you'll hear us say this, we repeat things, but making that one bad decision or choice or mistake, especially in the early stages of retirement, can derail you completely.
No plan B.
No plan B.
No plan B. If you make that mistake in your working career, you sell out 30% down, 20% down. All right, it's horrible. Hopefully, lesson learned.
It's gonna sting.
It's gonna sting, and maybe that's what you needed.
Yeah.
All right, but
Maybe.
you can recover from that. You do that when you finish work, and you can't make it up. That's that. No plan B.
Does a lot more than sting.
It's
That's
horrible.
That's not an Achilles rupture.
No.
That's irreparable damage.
Yeah, bring this full circle. I like it. Okay, perfect.
Pretty
right,
good,
well,
right?
You've tied us up with a bow there, James. I like
Just
it.
like they told us.
All right, so
Pick a mix.
I have been avidly following the Euros, obviously.
Yes.
I've been laid up. I haven't followed a soccer tournament for over a decade, honestly. I've really enjoyed it. And it's got loads of stick, but I really enjoyed the Fox's coverage as well. So no complaints there. And this wasn't a thing, really, when I was watching soccer. Or football, sorry. But there's a woman fronting the whole show, and there's a commentator who's called Jackie something. She's brilliant. I think she's possibly the best.
Was she on the Fox broadcast?
No, she Jules. I can't remember her surname. Begins with a B. She like hosts it. She's great.
Oh, got it.
But there's an actual commentator, a play-by-play commentator. She wasn't commentating. She's called Jackie Oatley or something. She wasn't commentating
Netherlands.
You're talking about the Netherlands match. She wasn't commentating that, but she is great. So that's been really interesting for me. But I've really enjoyed this tournament. England were until recent. Well, England have been pretty poor throughout, honestly. Although remarkable where we've got to. But
yeah,
what's been noticeable for me, other than Spain, who are just superb, is the good teams have been really awful. Italy were appalling. The reigning champions. The lesser teams have been great. So Switzerland, Austria, Georgia, Turkey. Turkey played some great football. I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. And England have got to the final.
When there's a level of competition, yeah, that makes it so much more enjoyable to watch. Not that I'm an expert. I mean, I watched the Netherlands games. We should say, too, for listeners, we're recording this prior to the final.
Okay, so my prediction, hesitate, I think we're going to get dismantled by Spain. They are so good. Nico Williams on the left wing, my God. Yes, they play attractive football. And they're in control. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward. It's great, and it's great. I think we're going to get dismantled, but great that it just makes it even more interesting and fun. So I've really, really enjoyed the Euros, and I've read a lot while I've been away. But I read an article recently that's had a real lasting impression on me. I'm just trying to pull the name up here. So in the Guardian, there's a long article. It's called The Long Read, and it's called "It Comes for Your Very Soul." How Alzheimer's undid my dazzling creative wife in her 40s. And it's a long article about a guy who, his wife, they have 2 kids, and she had early onset Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's came from my gran in her 80s. Right? So it's touched my family, but totally different situation to this. And just, I found this article, this thought piece, extremely moving. I think Alzheimer's or dementia in general is something that's going to touch more and more lives as we're getting older and older and living longer. I hope they have some better cures for it, but just this I don't know. I don't really have the right words to explain how moving this article was and things you hadn't thought about. And again, it just makes me think about this one life that we talk about and trying to make the most of it and spend time with your loved ones and do the things that you like doing. I would recommend that article to anyone.
It's a tough read, I'll say. It's really an emotional read, but you're right. It very well written and a good reminder.
Honest.
Very
honest.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that while you can't control diagnosis and things like that, being able to look back and say, it's a couple, right? Me and my wife spent 10 years together, 15 years together. We did everything we wanted to do, and we lived life to the full. So obviously it's not how anyone would want things to turn out, but it's a good reminder.
And I'm probably more guilty of this. I'm a goal-orientated person, so I'm always living in the future. And I'm really trying to get better at this and live in the present. But if you we get one shot at this.
Yep.
We're so fortunate to be here. Particularly those of us, we're America's not perfect, but you can build a great life for ourselves here, and there's great opportunity, and just trying to balance everything and enjoy the ride.
Yep.
We make mistakes, but make the most of your life. That's just what we do, right? Yeah, we're financial oriented, we're investment oriented, but really it's so much more than that. And this reading this article this piece just gave me a real jolt in the arm.
Yep, absolutely.
What about you? What you got for us?
Pick and mix. Should I try to bring the mood up?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I always come here. I'm talking about what I brought that movie last time, Boiling Point, and I said it was inspired by. Well, no, I said it was similar to a show called The Bear, which just recently dropped season 3. I don't know if you're watching that.
Haven't seen it yet. No spoilers.
Okay. No spoilers.
I hear it's shiny, but not quite as.
I would agree with that. I would say it's not quite as good. And now the bar is set high, right? Season 1 and 2 were incredible. Yeah. So I still enjoyed it. There's one episode in particular, won't give it away, but it shows the backstory of a character who's been there from the start. And I just thought it was, really incredible. What it does to show the service workers who are in that industry who are not always recognized or thanked, and the role they have in making a restaurant run, right? I'm sure a lot of our listeners, you're going to have to eat pretty often, and it's something that you don't want to take for granted. So I would recommend everyone check out The Bear. I think it would help going in with slightly tempered expectations, right? Yeah. Because if you're expecting the high bar set by the first 2 seasons, it might be not quite up to snuff.
It's a magnificent piece of television. Yeah, you just triggered a memory in me. So last week, went out for dinner for the first time in like 3 weeks, because I got my boot on, and my 5-year-old, as only 5-year-olds can do, says, "Oh, we're going to Rosina's. Is Daddy going in that?" But everyone will laugh at him. He was so embarrassed to be seen.
What's most surprising is he was right. Didn't the whole restaurant stand up and?
Yeah. I left in shame, crying.
How are the kids in restaurants? I know that can change, right, as they get older. And
good, bad, noisy,
depends
messy.
on the night, right?
Frequently bribe them with YouTube. I'm sorry, anyone who pours scorn on that hasn't got kids. It's just you just have to use the tools at your disposal sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Bluey, is that the YouTube?
I love Bluey.
Yeah.
Love Bluey. Yeah, we're Bluey. We're basically sponsored by Bluey in this house right now.
Yeah.
We got Bluey pajamas, Bluey water bottles. Bluey's always on. If it's on for an extended period of time, I'll generally cry at least once. There's an episode I cried 2 days ago when it was on. There's an episode where she goes camping and then she meets this French kid, and then she meets him years again.
So you cry when it's on, and you cry when it's not on, right? From what you've told me.
Yes, right. Yeah, exactly. No, right. It is. I encourage people who haven't got kids to watch Bluey. If you've got grandkids, watch Bluey. It's wonderful.
I was with some family last weekend who have young kids, and it was Bluey everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. Yeah.
No, it's so different to anything else that's out there, which is strange. It's one of those things where, when someone comes and does something like this, you're like, why isn't everything like this?
Yeah, or why did it take us this long to get to this point, kind of thing. Yeah.
Not the 2 kids, Bluey and Bingo, but their cousin is there's got this kid called Muffin, and Muffin's just wild, and we've got a Muffin, and I might have been a bit of a muffin, and I feel something when she's on screen. It's ridiculous. It does something to you. This program.
That's good. That shows. Yeah, that shows it's an excellent program in writing.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope we brought the mood up a bit there.
Yeah. Okay. So from grey hairs, ruptured Achilles, receding hairlines, Alzheimer's, we'll cap it off with Bluey.
Bluey. That might be a recurring segment for us. What's Bluey up to these days?
Yeah, okay. I thought you were going to be like, where's your hairline now, Rich?
Oh, yeah, well, we could track that. Anyone watching the YouTube.
I'm looking forward to seeing this grey. Yeah, your grey.
Yeah, it's
flip.
coming in the nice skunk tail right in the front there.
I can't see it, but I'm going to keep an eye out now.
Yeah, I may have to start doing the touch of gray just to get the gray in the side so it balances out a bit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that now.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Yes, good to catch up. Glad to hear you're on the mend.
Indeed. I'll see you very soon.
Absolutely. Thanks all for listening.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. And if you have any questions or queries, if you want us to talk about anything, be it UK expat related, investment related, you know where to find us. Facebook, email, LinkedIn, wherever it may be. If you have something you want us to cover on this, we will do. So please just holler.
Absolutely. We are, you'll hear this in the intro, we are getting a lot of people who are finding us through the podcast. First port of call can always be www.planfirstwealth.com too. That has a ton of content out there for you.
All right. Look forward to hearing from you. All right, mate. Thanks, James.
Talk soon.
I'll see you soon.
Take care.